by making a pattern out of paper first. It's pretty simple. Just play around with the shapes until it looks the way you want it to. There, that looks pretty good. So we will disassemble it and transfer everything onto some leather. Using a sharp knife, I first separate each piece from the main sheet. Then I go around with some scissors and follow the line. Then with a stitching groover tool, I go around the perimeter of each piece, just for decoration. This will give a place for the stitching to sit, and it gives me a line to follow with the sewing machine. There's very little sewing in this project that actually attaches anything together. Most of it's decorative. Then with an edge bevel tool, I go around all the pieces to clean up the edges and give it a nice radius. Now it's time to start decorating this thing. Starting with a swivel knife, I'm cutting some lines across the main piece. Then with a stamp tool, I'm adding some texture to resemble dragon scales. Then it's on to the emblem. This will have a fleur-de-lis, so the first thing to do is go around the whole thing with the swivel knife to cut out the pattern. Then with a textured bevel tool, I stamp the entire outside perimeter. This will define the image and darken the background. Then I wanted to go a little bit further, so with a background tool I added more texture to, the background. Then it was time to stain everything. I usually go for a dark brown for my leather projects, but this time I'm doing black to match the jacket that I ordered. With some antique gold rub and buff and a stiff brush, I added details to the emblem and main piece. Next, I treated the edges with some water and saddle soap. Previously, I only ever used water to burnish the edges. It works okay. But a little saddle soap and oh man, it is so slick and nice to use. If you're doing any kind of leathercraft, I highly recommend buying a bar of this stuff because it's a game changer. Just add a little to the edge and rub it in with your finger, a rag, small piece of wood, whatever you got, or even one of those fancy burnishing tools. It works great. After that was done to all the pieces, I painted the edge with phthalo blue acrylic. Added a few snap buttons to the arm strap, then glued on the emblem with some contact cement. Then it was finally time to bust out my new sewing machine and stitch everything together. Now this machine does have a motor on it, but it was a little too fast for me because I'm inexperienced and this is a pretty small project, so I just turned it by hand for this one. To attach the pieces together, I'm using a strip of soft chrome tan leather with some rivets. Just line it up where you think you want it and punch a few holes. The piece above it will cover the rivets and the leather allows for flexibility once assembled. The main piece was a little different because the piece above that one would actually be behind it, not in front of it, and you would see those rivets, so I didn't want to use that. Instead, I sewed on the leather strap to the top of the piece, following the same border stitch line to kind of blend those stitches together. The top two pieces had the same problem, so I used a jean button to rivet the two pieces together. It still allows the pieces to move and flex, and adds a little decorative button on top. Now take your time with the placement of these buttons because you only get one shot. And that's it for this piece. I'll be making more pieces in the future.